Hello, everyone. Hello. Just give us a moment. We will have our guest Shikha Sharma with us, and we're going to talk about anxiety today. How do you deal with it? What are the things that that can cause anxiety to inflate? And Shikha is going to share her own real life experiences. I'm sure a lot of you will have many questions. If there is something that you have tackled, like nervousness, anxiety, or any issues that you personally want to share, please feel free to write. So good to know. Hi everyone. Hi
Hi,
Shikha.
hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Nervous because this is the first time that I'm doing something like this. But yes,
But are you excited to share your story?
I am. I am.
Because we are very
Yes.
excited to hear you out.
Okay, great. Great.
So to
I can
start with
see all
Shikha.
my friends joining.
Hello everyone.
Yeah.
So to start off with Shikha, do you just want to, we know that you've been animating for quite some time. You worked with Sapari Studio, now you have your own setup and you worked on some really exciting projects.
Yes.
Do you just want to walk us through about who you are, what you do?
Okay, sure. I can start with how, my journey of becoming an animator started. Maybe I can start with that.
Yeah.
Um, when I was young, I think I wasn't good at anything but drawing, you know. And the second thing that I liked the most was watching a lot of films with my dad.
Wow.
So when I grew up, I was like, okay, if I connect these two things, maybe I can become an animator, you know. So yeah, but it was a very mediocre journey only, not very like, I went
I
to
don't
a
think it's
fancy
mediocre. I think it's quite exciting.
university.
You're one of the
Yeah,
few
but
female
it
animators in the country.
maybe yeah, but like it wasn't like I I decided as a kid, okay, this is what I wanted to do. I went to school, I went to college. After that, I was like, okay, what should I do? So I did something called as BMM and, studied mass media, which is very general, it covers media in a very general sense. And after that, but throughout my life, I felt like, a sense of anxiety, a sense of I think at that point I used to call it social anxiety. So
Hmm.
in media, then for me to get into a department, the safest that I felt was post, where
Wow.
I won't need to interact with a lot of people, because if I became a director or if I had to go on set and all. So for me, the most, the thing that made most sense was go into post. I will not have to talk to people. I'll sit with my computer and I'll do my work.
So
That's how it started.
did your personality type and like what you were facing influence your decision? Like it influenced your decision to choose your career, right?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And at that point, I didn't know I had, even a little bit of anxiety or I would just call myself shy, or okay, maybe I have a little bit of social anxiety, but I wasn't aware that my anxiety throughout my life was building up, you know, and yeah, but yeah, in terms of becoming an animator, I think I'm self-taught. Um, because I couldn't, like, one of the challenges that I faced was that I couldn't fund my education to become an animator because it was expensive. So
Wow.
being self-taught was, yeah, like I would study on my own or watch YouTube tutorials and stuff. But I think my good fortune was that I got to work with really, really amazing people and really amazing companies. I think that was my good fortune,
Do you
you
think
know.
back then, if
So,
there were platforms, if there were ed tech companies, if there were places, you would have been in a much better space?
um, I mean, I wouldn't blame any space for how I was feeling. Yeah.
Hmm.
It was my decision to get into it. It was my decision to go into a company. And in fact, um, I did not experience, office toxicity that people say. You
Wow.
know, yeah, yeah. So that way, my anxiety wasn't affected. But yeah, there were other reasons, of course, in work that affected my anxiety.
So
Yeah,
tell us one thing, Shikha, like towards you really, like you had understood early on that you want to become an animator. You knew that there'll be obstacles, like you will not have hands-on training that easy because there weren't enough resources, right? And you may not even get training the way people abroad get. Today that scenario has changed. Today there are many courses online that students can access. There are many more
yeah,
webinars and seminars happening to spread awareness. And at the same time, you were tackling anxiety and you didn't know that. You just thought it's just simple nervousness, or just simple, just lack of confidence to interact with people. What
yes.
These were your obstacles. How did you overcome them? What was your, like, what did you tell yourself mentally to overcome?
Okay. First thing was that um I I set a goal for myself that I want to become an animator. So I made this dummy animator card for myself.
Oh,
Before I became an animator, I made like a dummy card for myself that,
can you show us
and
that
I
card
would
again?
see, yeah. It's a friend who made it for me, but it was a dummy card. Like, that time I wasn't an animator. But yes, a lot of challenges in terms of, a lot of self doubt because I was self-taught. So it was like, who was going to hire me? But one way I dealt with it was that I kept at it. I didn't give up. Even though I was learning on my own or researching on my own and, talking to people, I never gave up and I kept at it. Second was that I took up whatever opportunity I got to learn. Like I never saw it as, okay, I'm getting paid or not getting paid. If it was internships or any kind of job, I would do it because, I would get an opportunity to learn. And that's how I came across my boss, who for 5 years, almost 5 years, trained me and, made me learn everything. Yeah. And yeah, so I think this is, not, I think that internal self talk, you know, um, instead of not listening to the negative voice, I would be like, no, I have to reach somewhere and I have to do this.
Wow.
So yeah, but I think I was fortunate enough to meet the right people who, were nice enough to teach me something I didn't know. You know,
So,
yeah,
like what I conclude, it's safe to believe that it's very important to recognize what you want, to understand that there are going to be many challenges that will come your way, and also at the same time to always be at it and recognize how to, and also recognize your own thought patterns, right? I'm getting these
yes.
comments. People are saying you're very inspirational. You're a star.
They're all
You
my
certainly
friends.
are,
I'm
Shikha.
very sure. I can't see, but I'm sure they're all my friends.
No, there's so
Thank
many more
you.
people. I mean, of course. So everyone who's
Yeah.
joined right now, we're in conversation with Shikha Sharma. This is our learning lobby session and practically where we pick up real life issues and real life beliefs. And we sort of like talk over and through conversations try and understand how do we tackle or navigate situations. Many times it can be just it can be as simple as being underconfident to as extreme as feeling anxious all the time, but there is a way out, and many people have their journeys to share. And today we have Shikha, who's a 2D animator, who's sharing her journey with us. So, our next question to you, Shikha, is that a lot of students asked us this question because,
Mhm.
today there is a lot of interest in coding and artificial intelligence and robotics and 2D animation. And, like people want to get into more of, people want to do things related to tech, they want to do the cooler things now. But so there was a very, very cool question that came our way that do you have a message to give to your younger self?
Okay. Okay, cool. I think yes, a lot of things that I could tell my younger self. Um, First would be that um, don't be afraid to take a step forward. I think as a kid, in my head only I used to give up. In my
Mm-hmm.
head only I used to be so anxious that I wouldn't take a step forward. And then obviously nothing would happen, right? It can be as simple as going to the teacher and being like, I want to be a part of that play, or I want to take part in this, or I can give this answer. In my head only I would give up. So first thing I would tell my younger self is that don't be afraid to take that one step forward. So now I think I see that change in me that, whatever the outcome, let me try it, let me do it, Second thing, I would tell my younger self is to not take decisions out of fear, but to take decisions out of faith in your life. You know, I was so fearful and so anxious of, what the outcome would be that I would not even try, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And third thing, the most important, I think, that I would tell myself is to share. I wouldn't share, I wouldn't talk about how I was feeling back then. And I think a lot of us don't even do it right now, in our lives. I think internally we suffer, internally we go through conversations and we give up. But I think sharing with someone has so much power, to really, heal yourself and heal your life. And fourth thing that I would tell my younger self would be that don't be ashamed and embarrassed of who you are, because I think anxiety does that to you, right? Like you all the time feel like, okay, something is wrong with you, or you are a burden to somebody, or, you know. So I think these are the four things that I would tell my younger self that, yeah, don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed, share what you're going through. That's why I think when I grew up and then when I realized that, okay, I am going through anxiety, now I'm very vocal about it. Even on social media, I'm quite vocal about, that I have anxiety. Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah.
I think that's a very beautiful
Yeah.
thing that you just mentioned because I think at a younger age, most of the kids today go through extreme panic attacks. They've been, so many of them had to learn from home. They were not used to, they were so not used to being just there, and they've done so well for themselves. They've done so well in coping, in learning, in making the most of their time. They've picked up technology really well, and I feel like if going back to what you earlier said, if they just realize and they just bring themselves back to all the optimism they have in them, or if they just keep themselves focused on what they want to achieve, and at the same time remain vocal about how they are feeling, seek help when there's need, talk to their family, their trusted friends, their parents, they'll be in a much better
Yeah.
spot early on, especially today when there's so much of awareness.
Yeah. Now there is, I think at
Now
that
there is.
point, and I understand a lot of people might have obstacles of who do I share with?
Yeah.
Maybe not supportive family or not supportive friends or not supportive environment. So yeah, a lot of people have their own circumstances and situations, but I feel like from whatever point you can start seeking help. Like I know as a kid I didn't seek help, but when I realized that okay, I have a anxiety disorder, panic disorder, I knew I had to overcome that. And then I spoke about it. So I think whatever point you are at, if you can seek help, that will be great. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like it's not like it's never too late. Yeah.
Okay, this is amazing. I think a lot of it you've already summed up, and we've been so grateful to have you. Just a few more things, like there are so many people out there today who want to get into, who are who want to adapt to tech more. Also, at the same time, they want to be in creative fields, and to a certain extent, they must be also going through their own issues. It may not always be anxiety. It may be something as minor as lack of self belief, or it may be
Yeah.
something like when some of them have been bullied, or some of them have not uh, felt appropriate or adequate enough, or some of them just have dreams and they don't know how to pursue it. Is there something you just want to leave the younger audiences with?
Mm, I think maybe I can talk about, like obstacles like these in general and how you can deal with it, like and how I have in my own life dealt with it,
Yes, yes, please.
be it internal obstacles or external obstacles, you know. So, in terms of, I think my biggest internal obstacle has been, dealing with anxiety disorder and panic disorder. Last year being diagnosed with that and, getting panic attacks daily, losing all work, you know. So, yeah, and also, being at home, seeing people thrive in life, all of those things, internal things that you go through, you know. But I think one thing that really helped me was that, um, of course, I seeked help. I took treatment for it. I went for therapy. I went for medication. I educated myself about it. And I told my parents also, and they also educated themselves about it. So I think, you know, when you face these obstacles or whatever you're going through, whether it's internal or external, understanding that you're only going to come out stronger out of it, like if you hold on to that picture of yourself that I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be fine, instead of holding on to, okay, I'm anxious, okay, I can't do this, you know. So this is one thing in therapy that I had learned, that holding on to that visual of myself that I'm okay, and that I'm only going to grow and I'm only going to be grateful and I'm going to, learn so much about myself through this obstacle that I'm facing, you know. Also, one thing that really helped me was not labeling, anything as good and bad, you know. Now I call everything experiences, you know. Yeah. So my anxiety journey or my panic attack journey, I'm like, okay, it was an experience that I went through, instead of labeling it as bad, instead of labeling it as negative. So, yeah, this has helped me a lot to, sit down and address my situation and treat it as, you know, okay, I'm going to learn out of it. Okay, I'm going to grow out of it. So yeah, because what if an obstacle is just a stepping stone in disguise, right? What if it's just going to make you happier? Maybe that's the path. Um, Second thing, also, if I specifically talk about anxiety, um, or obstacles in general, one thing that really helped me was to face it and not fight it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Yeah, yeah, like I would, to endure it, be composed when I'm getting a panic attack, you know. during that time to tell myself that it's just an emotion and feeling, right? Like anxiety or anything, it's not a sickness. It's an emotion and feeling. So what am I fighting? What am I trying to get rid of? You know. So I think enduring with composure, sitting with it, because it is going to go away. It is temporary, you know. So I think when I stopped fighting with my anxiety or whatever obstacles I was going through, you know, I realized that it goes away. You know, it always goes away, you know, and just like any other obstacle. And also telling myself that, yes, healing is, you know, not linear. It's not like I'm going to become, you know, being aware of that, at least in your mind, then, you know, then you don't hurt yourself when anxiety again comes back or you get panic attacks again. Because I've had relapses, but I've endured through it again, you know, and
Oh, thank you.
understanding that, okay, yeah,
Thank you so
yeah,
much, Shikha. I think that's very helpful
yes, yes, okay,
to a
yeah,
lot of people who are now watching it. This must be like super informative. I myself have learned so much right now
yeah,
from you and
oh,
from what you just mentioned, especially a few pointers that you've given on optimism and not labeling experiences, being honest with yourself, always seeking the right
yeah,
guidance and not worrying when
yeah.
something recurs.
Yeah, and also like reminding yourself that you're so much more than your obstacle. You're so much more than an anxious person, or you're so much more than just an animator, right? Yeah, you're so much more than everything. And I think obstacle for me, anxiety for me has just taught me, you know, empathy. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I have dealt with. Like I can speak from my experience. I know lot of you might somebody might be going through depression or just,
Yeah,
you know, low self-esteem. But this is how I dealt with, you know, my anxiety and panic disorder.
I think it's
Yeah.
amazing. Your journey is super inspiring, not just for me, for everyone who's joined, for everyone who's written your
And
inspiration, for
yeah.
everyone who's applauded your
But
efforts.
also one, yeah, I think one thing that I also tell myself, I'm sorry I'm adding to it, but like it's okay to fall down. It's okay to cry it out. It's okay to fail as far as you don't give up, you know. So it's not always going to be a happy Shikha. There are
Yeah,
going to be phases, but yeah, you're going to like endure it and come out of it. Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. I think there'll be a lot of questions coming our way even after the session, and we'll reach out to you.
Okay, sure. Yes,
But for
sure.
today, thank you so much. There are so many people who joined. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, Shikha, for your time. I think what
Yes,
you've
thank
shared,
you so much.
20 minutes are not enough for us to summarize everything about your life, but you've so beautifully given us glimpses of your life that best and most lovable, Shikha, definitely. You've given us,
Okay, thank you.
these are all the comments that are coming our way. You've given us glimpses that have really helped us. I'm sure it's going to help many, many more people.
I
Keep doing
hope.
the
I
great
really
work that
have.
you're doing.
Yes, yes. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share. Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Shikha. And with this, we sign off.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great weekend ahead, guys. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.